Alrighty, guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory Update 8 with Lone Debater 7. And today we're going to be building out our steel production. So we're going to try to get steel pipe and steel plate all set up and automated over in this area. To do this, we are going to utilize one normal iron node and one pure coal node. Now, with refined power mod, which I have in the game, I get an alternate recipe utilizing carbon dust to make steel, and I can just show that real quick before we start build. So I have this alternate carbon steel ingot. This requires 45 carbon dust and 15 iron ingots per minute to generate 30 steel ingots a minute. I like this recipe slightly better than the default one from the game because it's not 45, it's actually a perfect ratio of 30 coming out. To make steel plates, it takes 60 steel ingots per minute to generate 15. So 2 of our foundries running that carbon steel recipe will run 1 of these steel beams. So I plan on having 2 constructors making steel beams for 30, and then I will have 2 more running 2 constructors making steel pipes at 30 apiece, so 40 pipes a minute. So we're shooting for 30 steel plate per minute and 40 steel pipe per minute. To get started, I want to place my iron production first in order to run the 6 foundries that I plan on building. I need to have a total of 90 iron ingots per minute being generated. That is a normal node running with a single power shard on it to generate 90 ore per minute. So I think I am going to utilize one of our power shards. I have quite a bit. Well, I say quite a bit. I have like 50 or 50. I have 7 of them. I have 7 of these. So I think sparing one to get perfect ratio off of the normal node is better than having an not full utilization on a impure node, or impure on a pure node. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here. We are going to bring power over here as well, and I'm trying to decide, I could actually have the smelters lined up over here, so maybe I will do that instead. So we're just going to rotate this miner. So it is actually exporting this direction. I like that a little bit better. I'm going to bring this guy out to right here, and we're going to build some smelters. So as opposed to the way I normally do this, is I generally start at the end of the line and work my way backwards. This time we are going to start at the back and work our way forwards, just to kind of show you how that process is. It's not quite as good because you're way more likely to run out of space, but I think we can pull this off nonetheless. And I think I will just max this power pole right here. Well, actually maybe not. I'll throw one of the smelters there. So this will be our iron ingot coming out, and then I can have my coal node maybe like right here and bring the coal out along this row of foundations, and that should work pretty well for us. To start here, I will need a splitter that brings in our iron ore and splits it 3 ways into these 3 smelters. That will give us a perfect ratio of the ore into the smelters to make our ingots. So that is what we're going to do. Go ahead and get that set up. I should actually set the recipes in these to iron ingots so I don't forget, and then don't get to the end and be like, oh, why are we not doing what we should be doing here? Well, if you set the recipe, you'd be fine. So there we go. Iron ingot sorted. With that being said, I am going to be splitting each of these smelters of ingots to go into our foundries. So let's kind of get a target for our foundry locations, and I think they should work right on up in this area. And these they're a little like chunky, I guess is maybe the way to say it, so they don't actually sit right next to each other perfectly on a foundation, if that makes sense. Which I suppose is not the end of the world. If I do something like this, can I fit 6 right here? I probably can just fit 6. Can I? I can't even fit 6. It's not quite wide enough. Now, if I take this guy out, why is that invalid? Why won't it let me place there? is the problem with that? Oh, it's because there's a node right here. Let me mine this real quick. Oh, this is bauxite. Okay, I guess that's fine. We're quite a ways away from doing anything with aluminum, but that's what bauxite ore is used for. I just need to move this node so I can finish building out our foundations and get the rest of our platform put together. Because I do need it to be one tile wider. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Then I can throw one more foundry like this. Sweet. And that is our 6 foundries. Now, I think what we'll do first is we will go ahead and get our iron ingot figured out. So, put one there for those two. Put another one here for these two. And our last one will go right here for these two. And then these are only going to be handling 15 and 30 30 on the in, 15 on the out respectively. So I should be just fine running Mark 1 belt. So that's what we're going to do. 2, go. And this, I know the coal is going to come in a little bit strange. But that's alright. I'm not too worried about it. It kind of is what it is. It's going to be like that because I'm trying to put all these boundaries in a row, right? If I didn't do that, then they would have, right, you'd be putting the material on the same input slot. So like this is coming in on the right side, this one's coming in on the left, but I'm okay with that. It's not the end of the world in my mind. So let's bring this one around. Come on, you can do it, buddy. Here we go. Put something like that. And then the middle one can go into this. And you know what? That's fine. We'll just kind of soft flip it. And then this one. How do I want to bring this one over? I guess I could bring it out and then bend it. Something like that. Okay, so that's iron ingot into our foundries figured out. I need to put a miner for coal right here, and then it's actually going to be a single split off of that pure node that will feed all 3 of these. So I'm kind of thinking what I want to do is have this in line with this, and then bring it back like so. That goes in there. Or wait, what am I doing here? I need... Actually, this is wrong. These foundries need to move because I need quite a bit more space to build the carbon dust. I'm going to need 3 constructors off of our coal. So actually, I suppose what I could do for that... Well... If I expand this out slightly wider, then maybe bring it back just a little bit, like one more level or layer, whatever we want to call this. Another node that I have to mine. This one's Caterium. We already have Caterium automated, so this is a complete, like I do not need this resource at all. Didn't really need the bauxite either, but at least bauxite is something that we don't have automated. So if I do something like that, how does this work? If I could potentially, I think I do still want to move this belt, now that I'm looking at it. So it ultimately needs to go in there. Let's actually bring it in on this. Then bring it over. Something like that. Yeah, I kind of like that. I know that is a much less direct path, but then I can squeeze my carbon dust constructors in this area instead. So 1, 2, and we'll put it there? It will. Great. That should be just fine. And these are actually going to be split as well, because each of those can feed 2 of these. So there's that. And I think I will actually use this side. I know there is a lot of soft cooking, so even getting the vents is not super duper critical, but might as well try, right? So now I'm going to place this one down. And I just want to get the logistics sorted for the carbon dust that we're going to have to bring in. Now this one's a little bit trickier because I do have a belt that's here already. So maybe that one's not going to be perfect curve, and that's a-okay, I guess. The main thing is these are going to be a ratio, so we can fully pump these with the resources that are required to run them at full kilt or 100% efficiency. That's kind of how I like to build. So there is that. These are set to iron ore. Great. These have not been set yet, but let me just place the power down so we can get this figured out. I think I will throw all... Well, actually, no, I won't. I will just do 2 per, and then I can plug in our coal miner into this power pole instead. So this one, great. So that brings power, this brings power, and then I need to extend power out off of this pole to bring it up. So we then can get our, well, actually, maybe what I do instead is break one of, well, how do I want to do this? It'd be better if this one is not plugged in there, so we're going to plug this one into this one into this one, and now I can bring this one forward. That's on this line, so we'll keep it in line. Bring it right here. Now for these, we're going to do 2 apiece. 1, 2. 1 and 2. 2. Cool. So those are plugged in. Great. I need to connect this to this. Great. And then this will ultimately give us a point to power the constructors that are going to build the final steel products for us. I do need to set the recipes on these foundries to the carbon steel alternate recipe, which is coming from the refined power mod. Just, I know I said that already, but just in case. So get that set. Great. Let's go set the recipe on these constructors for the carbon dust. Need 1, 2, and 3. And it's supported coal to give us 100 per minute of this. So let's go ahead and plug these guys into their respective splitters. So this one is going to be this splitter. Should be something like that. Yeah, I think that pretty close. Not quite perfect, but that's okay. These ones, I'm just going to soft flip the belts because this is already quite a mess of belts. It's just kind of the way it is. I do need another splitter in order to feed our carbon dust. So these are going to be 40 a minute on the output of this splitter. So I can use Mark 1s here. On the input, I will need a Mark 2. That is then going to feed our coal. I think I'll put the coal right here for our miner. Let's go grab the coal ore that I need to place that node, and we'll get that plugged in as well. So coal should be this guy, right? Yes, it is. So I need 20. That should be 20. I am 1 inventory. I don't have enough inventory space. Let me drop some stuff off. I need to drop off 2 items, so we'll get rid of these extra cables, and oh, I can get rid of the bauxite and the Caterium I can actually just delete. I need a miner as well, so grab that while we're over here. And then grab our last 100 coal ore that we need to place the pure coal node. Now that is being done with the Buildable Resource Nodes Redux mod. So I am playing modded. That is mentioned in the description, but in case you're just kind of watching along, that's how I'm able to place these nodes. That is not something allowable in the base game. And you know what? We are going to place this right next to this miner, I think. Just to make it like, here's where our resources are coming in type set, if that makes sense. So this does need to do a weird like via route and then plug in. So we'll go ahead and get that done. So, all right, we've got our raw resources sorted. So we've got iron ingot being made here. We've got carbon dust being made here. And that iron ingot and carbon dust is being fed into these row of foundries. So now we've got 6 foundries that will produce a steel ingot. Now the steel ingot does need to be processed further to give us recipes. So what I want to do here is I want to have 2 of these foundries feeding 1 constructor for steel plate, another 2 foundries feeding another constructor for steel plate, and then we will have 1 foundry per piece on the... That's in line with the foundry output. That's probably better for us. This one's not going to be in line, which is not ideal, but you know what? That's okay. Let's actually align the constructors. I care more about that than the foundry being aligned. So this plugs straight in. This plugs straight in. Great. These are going to be our steel pipe constructors. Cool. Get these powered. We'll just run it up front. Fair enough. Should work. Then I will bring the power pole for these right over here. Put these 2 in. Good. And I can plug it into this pole. So we'll just do that. So that's the constructors powered. Excellent. Now these, I need to set a steel beams. Cool. Alright. For this bit, it's a little bit more complicated. Not too bad, though. We're just going to utilize a merger to take in this steel ingot from the foundry, and the steel ingot from this foundry as well. That actually does it perfect, and we plug it in. These can all be Mark 1s because the most we're ever going to have is 60 going in, so perfect. There's 1 plugged in, this will be number 2. Oh man, I misplaced this. Darn it. Let me just move the constructor, actually. I'd rather do that. Okay, there we go. This actually needs to come back a little bit. Alright, come on. Let me place this where I want. Won't let me do it right there, huh? That's annoying. Alright, we'll replace the constructor with this merger. Not the end of the world. I thought I had this aligned. I didn't. It was aligning to something else, I suppose. That's okay. There we go. That's aligned. This one can't quite make that bend. Can't quite make this bend either. So this is gonna be a strange, like, loopy belt. It's like nudging it there. That's super annoying. Let me try this. Alright, that'll work. Super long belt. Unnecessary if you ask me, but that's okay. That's what it takes to plug it in. That's what it takes to plug it in. So there we go. Steel beams. So now we've got 2 steel beams and 2 steel pipe. I need mergers from these to go into a box. And I need mergers from these to go into a box. And then we need organization. And I think I will just put these up over here. Like, that should be good enough. I'll put it next to my MAM, actually. Put it on this foundation, sure. Do something like that. Then we'll bring over this belt. This is only 30 steel plate a minute, mind you, so it's not a ton, but it is something. It'll be enough that it'll probably support us making conveyor belts, Mark III belts. I don't have the research for that unlocked yet, so not a big deal anyhow. Something like that and that. Cool, that'll work. So this is basically ready to roll. I just need to connect this into our power grid like that. And now we should see our coal come online, we should see our iron come online, and it will slowly trickle into these steel foundries, which will then slowly trickle into our steel production buildings. So there is that. I think what I'll do is I'll build a little lookout tower here so we can climb up and kind of see this from a bird's eye view. Might be kind of nice to look at, right? That's what I'm thinking anyway. So this is our build. We have a pure coal node and a normal iron node that has one power shard, so it's overclocked to 150%. So we're generating 90 iron ore and 120 coal ore. That is the raw resource requirement to run this build. From the iron node, we are going into 3 smelters, giving us 90 iron ingots per minute total, which is then split into 15 iron ingots for each of the foundries. Our coal is being split 3 ways for 40 coal per constructor back there to make us carbon dust, which is 100 carbon dust a minute. That 100 carbon dust a minute is being split for 100 per 2 foundries. So we have 1 constructor supplying 2 constructors supplying 2, 3 constructors supplying 2. So we have 6 total foundries running the carbon steel ingot recipe, alternate recipe for steel. Each of these foundries is producing 30 steel ingot per minute. So for 6 of them, that's going to be 180 steel ingot per minute. Then our split for our final finished product is going to be 2 constructors making steel pipe, which will generate us 40 steel pipe per minute. And that's coming off of 2 foundries, 1 foundry apiece, 1-to-1 foundry per constructor. Then we have 2 constructors making a steel plate for a total of 30 steel plate per minute, and that is 2 foundries per constructor, so 2-to-1. But we basically have this built out with a perfect ratio. It should do pretty good. Over time, we'll get some steel plate and some steel pipe built up. You utilize both of those things for more high-tier products. So steel pipe is utilized for like oil stuff, if I remember right, as well as hypertubes. And then steel plate is actually the resource that you use to build Mark III conveyor belts. I wanted to get Mark III conveyor belts unlocked, which is gated behind Logistics Mark III. That also takes steel plate and steel pipe in order to just get the milestone. But these can carry 270 resources per minute, which would allow me to utilize the alternate recipe we have for reinforced iron plate, bolted iron plate recipe, because we have to be able to supply this constructor with 250 screws a minute. So that is what this drive was for, is to get this, the ability to use that alternate iron plate recipe, bolted iron plate recipe, this reinforced iron plate inside the assembler. I wanted to get this unlocked before I set up our modular frame factory, just so I can kind of conserve on the number of assemblers I have to utilize. So if I use just the standard recipe for modular frames instead of the alternate one I got unlocked, I can basically have one assembler making reinforced iron plate that then feeds 5 assemblers making modular frames, because you need 3 per minute on the reinforced iron plate per assembler, so 5 would be 15, and then 1 assembler with this recipe will give us 15. So that was kind of my thinking. Then I can do modular frame with just iron as opposed to needing steel as well. Granted, I could do the steel. The steel pipe recipe is quite a bit easier than the steel plate, meaning it's less resource intensive. You don't need quite as much coal or iron to pull that off, but you're still only getting a single, or you get 2 assemblers making that recipe per foundry that you have making steel pipe. So it's still not that great. I think it's slightly better for us to utilize the all iron build for modular frame instead. So I think that's what we're going to do. But anyway, guys, we got our steel set up. We'll run over there, see how much we've generated in the time it's been since first started talking, just so we can take a look. It should be trickling over time, though. I need to get that Logistics Mark II milestone unlocked, but we've got 30 pipe and almost 30 steel plate generated in that short amount of time. But that is the build, and I think we will wrap it up here for today. Likely in the next episode, we're going to take a look at how to build the modular frame factory that I want, and we'll kind of pick it up from there. But guys, if you enjoyed the episode today, be sure to like, comment, subscribe as always, and until next time, this has been Lone Debater 7, and we will see ya.